Well, let's cross over to London now for update from my colleague there, Juliana. Hello, Juliana. Good afternoon. Then how much of interest are the UK markets showing in Fed's Chairman Jerome Powell's speech later today?
Good afternoon, Chimaze. I just got a flash actually on my phone. There's been some GDP figures from the US Congress, the US Commerce Department, sorry, showing that the US economy shrank by 4.8% in Q1, which is an alarming figure. It's historic. We know that there's been a mass expansion in the US economy. In fact, it was going for so long, people were sure that US President Donald Trump wanted November's election to be a referendum on the economy because it was doing so well. But these figures have just come in, and really that's exactly what the market were waiting for. And so that's going to have massive implications over the next couple of hours and the next few days as America wakes up. But yes, today the Federal Reserve will be meeting for the first time since they cut the interest rates last month. Again, it's not really going to make news because everybody was waiting for this GDP data. And of course, we know that Congress has taken over the control of the economy. They've already put aside about $3 trillion to try and stop this economic freefall that's happening in front of everybody's eyes. Some people say it's not enough. I think at the moment there's about 16 million, almost 30 million Americans that have applied for unemployment benefits in the month since the lockdown, and already, this is going to increase unemployment by 16%. So there's a lot going on in America, but the Federal Reserve is the least of people's priorities at the moment. And intraday in London, the All Share is up 0.87%. The FTSE 100 is up by 0.74%. And the FTSE 250 is up by 1.36%. In currencies, the pound is down on the US dollar by 0.27%, down on the euro by 0.49%, and down on the Japanese yen by 0.60%, Chimia, intraday.
And in corporate news, well, Barclays has reported a 42% fall in first quarter net profit year on year and opted to make a £2.1 billion credit impairment charge, all because of COVID-19, I suppose.
Well, of course, everything at the moment, I'm afraid, is due to COVID-19, especially when it comes to trading reports from the big banks. Yesterday was the turn of HSBC. Today, it's Barclays. Q1 profits tumbled to £923 million. At the same period last year, their profits were £1.5 billion. So it shows you just what this huge loss is. What they've done as well, Barclays, which is similar to what HSBC has done, and we're expecting other big banks to follow, is they've put aside £2.1 billion in impairment charges. So any bad loans that they don't think they're going to recover because some business won't be able to survive, they've put that aside. And I think that's really what economists are looking for when it comes to how banks are reacting to this, because we all know that we're in an economic pit at the moment. I think it's what we're going to do to be getting ourselves out of it that's really important. So they've put aside that money. Surprisingly, Barclays is actually one of the biggest blue chip risers in London this morning, and that's because the investment arm of their bank in the same quarter has seen their profits almost double because so many people are running into investment. So the shareholders are happy, even though Barclays, like a lot of other British banks, have set aside their dividend this year because of pressure from the Bank of England. Their shares are up because the fact that they've diversified their banking capabilities has meant that this loss in Q1 has been softened by the rise of investment in the investment arm of their banking.
Well, while some companies are counting their losses, others are celebrating their gains. AstraZeneca PLC has reported a jump in sales and earnings in the first quarter. What have they done differently?
Well, they haven't done anything differently, Chimaze, but AstraZeneca, they're UK's biggest drug maker, and it's the consumer that's done things differently. What the consumer has been doing is stockpiling. We've seen that whether it's food, hand sanitizer. People have also been doing this with drugs. They've really seen a rise by up to 16% of sales in this quarter if it's compared to the same period last year. Respiratory and immunology sorry if I got that wrong, any medical practitioners out there, those drugs have risen by more than a fifth, and that's because a lot of people have been stockpiling on paracetamol, ibuprofen, codeine, whatever they can get their hands on to, take away any of the complications they may be having of COVID-19 as what's pushed up these sales for AstraZeneca. They were pretty honest in their trading report today. They do know that this is likely going to tail out in Q2. But, if you're a pharmaceutical company at the moment in a global health pandemic, you're certainly making a lot of bucks.
Thanks, Juliana. Enjoy the rest of the day.